When Ethan made a big scene taking Lena to Hokkaido for a ski trip, I didn't argue or cry. I just calmly told him that I wanted to break up. He got furious. "You're breaking up with me just because I didn't take you skiing? Seriously." But it wasn't just that. It was because he had abandoned me again and again for Lena. Like that night downstairs when I was curled up on the couch, my stomach cramping so badly I could barely move. I asked him to go to the convenience store to buy me some brown sugar. He said it was too far and refused to go. He would rather let me curl up in pain than take a short walk for me. Yet for Lena, who cried, he didn't hesitate to cross 1,000 miles and take her to Hokkaido. He even used the money we had saved for our wedding to pay for that trip. That was when I realized how rotten and miserable my life with him had become, and that I'd had enough. He slammed the door on his way out, throwing a cold remark over his shoulder. "Go ahead, make a scene if you want." But the day after he left, I signed an out-of-town work contract. The next day, I packed all my belongings and moved out. On the third day, I tore down the heart-shaped wall I had built for him with my own hands. On the fourth day, I had one last drink with my friends and got completely drunk. By the seventh day, as his flight landed, mine was taking off. We brushed past each other, heading in opposite directions. He went south and I went north. From then on, we were strangers in the same world. Ethan suddenly jumped off the couch, fumbling to pack his luggage without even looking at me. He said, "Emily, transfer me the money from the love card." He added casually, "Lena just saw her ex showing off again. She's falling apart and wants to go skiing in Hokkaido to clear her head. Everyone else is busy, so I'm going with her." I held a cup of brown sugar water the delivery guy had just dropped off, my fingers freezing cold. On my phone screen was Lena's latest message. "The snow in Hokkaido is so beautiful. Borrowing your boyfriend for a week. Thanks, sis." Only I knew how disgusting that playful emoji really was. A provocation disguised as a joke. And yet I was so calm that I couldn't even feel a ripple of emotion anymore. That love card money was what we had saved for our wedding. "I know," I said quietly. "I don't need your share. Just transfer mine." Ethan shoved past me without noticing how pale I looked, one hand pressed to my stomach. He dug between the sofa cushions to find his charger and said, "We talked about this. Don't make a scene again. After the trip, Lena's going home. You won't have to see her anymore. We'll be so far apart, you couldn't run into each other even if you tried." He kept his head down, zipping his suitcase, never once meeting my eyes. The dim yellow light fell across his face, highlighting the excitement and anticipation there. Nothing about him had changed. And yet, I suddenly found him terrifyingly unfamiliar. It was then I understood. When it's someone you care about, crossing 1,000 miles for them doesn't feel tiring at all. Just an hour earlier, I had been curled up on the couch, unable to move from the pain of my period. I had asked him to go downstairs and buy me some brown sugar. He was sitting there scrolling on his tablet, brows furrowed, comparing cat food, cat beds and toys for Lena's stray cat. Without even looking at me, he said, "For God's sake, it's snowing out there. Freezing cold and I'd have to cross the street. Don't be so dramatic. I'm your husband, not your servant. I already work myself to death outside to earn money, and now you want me to run errands too? Besides, that brown sugar water thing is just a scam. It's all the same as white sugar. We've got white sugar at home. Make it yourself." Then while still scrolling through cat toys, he muttered under his breath, "All girls have periods. Never seen anyone else act so fragile." That someone else he was talking about was her on the other side of the screen. The whole time, Ethan's earbuds were still connected to his little junior Lena. I took a deep breath and stared straight at him. "So let me get this straight. You took half a day off work and crossed the entire city just to buy your little junior a skewer of candied hawthorn, and that's not inconvenient or beneath you, right?" Ethan's fingers froze on the tablet screen. His eyes lifted, filled only with coldness and irritation. "Do you really have to be so petty? Lena's a guest and my professor's daughter. She doesn't know anyone here. Isn't it only right that I show some hospitality? Emily, I used to think you were a sensible person. What happened to you? So just because I was once sensible, I was supposed to swallow every bit of humiliation alone, smile through his neglect and pretend everything was fine. Lena had come to our city after a breakup unannounced and stayed for 2 whole months. During those 2 months, Ethan kept leaving me behind for her over and over again. When I caught a bad cold and had a fever, he was out hiking with her, watching the city lights. When I was stranded in the rain, he was cooking hot pot with her by the floor-to-ceiling windows. When I landed from a business trip in the middle of the night, he didn't pick up my calls because he was watching a movie with her. Even all of Lena's expenses during her stay here, Ethan paid for them with the money we had saved for our wedding photos and honeymoon. Whenever I tried to talk to him about it, he always said the same thing. Emily, you've always been understanding. Don't make things difficult for me. Back in school, when I was struggling, my professor invited me to his house for countless meals. His kindness and encouragement got me through. Without him, I wouldn't be who I am today. You understand that, right? Forget the money. If he needed it, I'd give him half my life. Understand? I knew Ethan wanted to repay a debt of gratitude. The professor had been a rare light in his difficult childhood. It made sense that he wanted to give back. But somehow, I became the selfish, ungrateful one for feeling hurt. Still, was repaying a debt supposed to mean sharing a pair of chopsticks with his professor's daughter, warming her cold feet with his hands, giving her the engagement ring he'd once hidden for me? That ring appeared on Lena's hand in a photo she posted online, captioned with, "Emily's such a thoughtful sister. She wouldn't mind, right?" Ethan's classmates and Lena's friends all laughed about it behind my back. Man, Ethan's girlfriend seems so bitter and petty. Bet she's the jealous type. Lena would smile sweetly and say, "I'm sure Emily isn't like that." They called me stingy, humorless, and uptight. Because Lena's return date was uncertain, Ethan's friends started booking expensive 5-star hotels for their weekend gatherings. It was too much for our budget, so I suggested we look for a nicer, cheaper Airbnb. Lena's eyes filled with tears as she said softly, "I didn't mean to cause trouble for everyone. Forget it. We don't need to book a hotel. I'll just leave tomorrow." After that, I was branded the petty, difficult girlfriend. At their gatherings, they deliberately ignored me. In karaoke rooms, no one spoke to me. When we went rafting, they made sure there wasn't enough room, leaving me to pair up with a stranger. Ethan knew all of it. At first, he would apologize and try to comfort me carefully. Then came the irritated silence. And finally the annoyed tone. "Can't you just fit in a little? Look at Lena. She gets along with everyone. Would it kill you to be a bit nicer like her?" But I couldn't. I didn't have a shining, well-connected mother to pave my way, to let me bask in borrowed warmth without lifting a finger. Every bit of kindness I offered was seen as desperate flattery. Behind my back, they mocked me as fake, pathetic, and spineless. Eventually, I just stopped going. Without me there, their gatherings went on like nothing had changed. Music blaring, laughter spilling over, and Ethan would keep stepping out, phone in hand, to comfort Lena whenever she cried or threatened to go home. His warmth and care for her stood in painful contrast to his coldness and disdain for me. At some point, I had grown too exhausted even to argue anymore. I pulled out my phone and ordered a pack of brown sugar. Leaning weakly against the door while waiting for the delivery, I overheard Ethan speaking softly into his phone, coaxing Lena like a child. "Don't cry, okay? The hot pot, the cake, the flowers, and the toys for our little boy. They're all on the way. Tell him his dad's care package and mom's cheer-up gift are already being delivered." When he hung up, the smile that lingered at the corner of his mouth vanished instantly. Our eyes met, mine blank, his as cold as the iron door outside. "Was that supposed to be funny?" he snapped. "Saying things like that just to make a point. What? You've never had candied hawthorn before? Or have I never gotten you a gift from another city?" I could see the irritation in him. The kind that used to be hidden but now had become so common it almost felt routine. Watching love rot away piece by piece right in front of you is like dying slowly. You're helpless and it hurts. The cruel thing is love needs 2 people to start it but only one to end it. Even though I already knew we had reached the end, I couldn't stop the bitterness and sadness from slipping out. My voice was low. "You can order her all that stuff, but it never crossed your mind to order me a pack of brown sugar." Then quieter. "Because it doesn't matter, right? My pain isn't as important as Lena's tears. So the brown sugar water I needed to ease my cramps wasn't as important as the hot pot and cake that make her smile." Ethan froze. For a moment he seemed to realize that even he couldn't justify how unfair he'd been. But instead of reflecting, his instinct was still to defend her. "Why are you even comparing them?" he muttered, frustrated. "It's not the same. Not the same." I cut him off. "Why can her candied hawthorn be compared to the gifts you've brought me from other cities? Is she your girlfriend too?" Ethan's pupils contracted. He understood every word, but he still wrapped his guilt in excuses, trapping me in this twisted moral debt that made me feel like the foolish, unreasonable one. I gave a hollow laugh and pushed him aside as he tried to speak again. "Don't bother explaining. A resentful girlfriend like me should disappear from your circle, just like I'll disappear from your life." The door slammed with a metallic clang, drowning out his hurried attempts to explain. Later, the delivery girl arrived with the brown sugar water. Seeing me doubled over, she gently reminded me, "If your cramps are that bad, you should really go to the hospital." I nodded gratefully. The warmth from a stranger felt brighter than anything I'd gotten from the man beside me, and for a moment it almost brought tears to my eyes. When I turned around, Ethan was standing behind me, though I didn't know how long he'd been there. "Emily, I'm sorry," he said softly. "You've always been so understanding. Please, just this once. Let it go. My professor did so much for me. I can never repay his kindness. Lena's heartbroken. That's all. She came here to clear her head. She doesn't have anyone else. And I couldn't just ignore her. We're just like brother and sister. Nothing more. I swear. Next week I'll take her back to my professor myself and then I'll be done. Please, honey, don't fight with me anymore. I know I've been distant lately and that's my fault, but we have a lifetime together, don't we? There's no need to fight over this moment, right?" He didn't know we didn't have a lifetime anymore. The moment he ordered that hot pot and cake for Lena, I got a call from my company. While he was busy sweet-talking her, I accepted an offer for an out-of-town transfer. He never even heard it. Next week I'll be leaving. And with me, our 5 years together will be left behind in South City. "Emily, stop it." Ethan's voice dragged me out of my thoughts, low and impatient. His expression was that same familiar one on the edge of anger, ready to explode. I stared at him for a long moment, then reached for my phone without hesitation. I transferred every cent of the $313,000 Ethan had left in my account back to him, down to the last penny. He glanced at the amount and said almost casually, "That's too much. Never mind. I'll handle it. Traveling's expensive, and I can't let a girl suffer along the way. Whatever's left, I'll send it back to you when I return." My hand froze around the phone. Then I let out a bitter laugh. "Emily, I can't let you go through hardship with me," he had once said, holding me in his arms, spinning me around, promising that every penny he saved would go toward our grand wedding. I could still see that look in his eyes as if it were yesterday. But now that same money, the wedding fund I'd helped him save bit by bit, was going to another girl, one he couldn't bear to let suffer. As Ethan yanked his phone charger out of the wall, his elbow knocked over my cup. A full glass of brown sugar water spilled across the floor. He frowned, irritation flashing across his face. "Can't you keep the place tidy for once? Look at Lena. She's younger than you but way more organized. Even her bed." He stopped short when he met my calm, steady gaze. His tone rose, defensive. "What? You saw the photos and now you're starting again? Can't you just drop it? You're ruining the start of my trip." That was how he always got when he knew he was in the wrong. His voice tight with frustration, refusing to admit guilt. He could say, "My junior," all he wanted. Could repeat, "We're just friends 100 times. But what kind of brother-sister friendship lets a man sleep in her bed? Some things don't need to be said aloud. The cramps in my stomach twisted upward into my chest, cold and sharp like knives. My voice came out calm but icy. "Then have fun with your trip. I'm done, Ethan. Let's break up." His hand froze on the zipper of his suitcase. His face darkened, heavier than the gray snow outside. "I knew it. You can't stand to see me happy, can you? You're doing this again just because I didn't take you skiing. You love drama that much? Fine. Knock yourself out." The door slammed shut with a sharp crack and a gust of freezing wind rushed in, slapping my face and breaking the tears I'd been holding back. I knew Ethan was standing on the other side of that door, waiting for me to open it. That was our unspoken rule. No matter how bad the fight, if the one who left stayed outside and the one who stayed opened the door, it meant we were forgiving each other, starting over. It had happened many times before. We'd patch up the cracks, pretending nothing was broken. But this time, as I stared at the dark stain spreading from the spilled brown sugar water soaking into the carpet I'd cherished for years, something inside me went quiet. That carpet, stained, impossible to clean, too sentimental to throw away, looked exactly like our relationship. Tasteless to keep, but too pitiful to discard. I didn't want to open that door anymore. On my phone screen, the security camera showed Ethan leaning against the hallway wall, brow furrowed, his expression tangled in frustration and hesitation. He was afraid I'd beg him to stay if he came back inside. But this time he was wrong. When his phone lit up with a message from Lena, he gave the closed door one last glance, then walked away without turning back. I picked up the dirty carpet, hesitated only for a moment, then shoved it straight into the trash bin. Dirty things don't need to be kept. I opened my phone, ordered a box of painkillers, and remembered Ethan's words. If you can buy it on your phone, don't expect anyone else to do it for you. A notification popped up. It was a message from Ethan. I'm leaving. A week should be enough for you to throw your tantrum, right? He still thought I was just acting out, but not this time. I swallowed the painkillers, turned off my phone, and drifted into a deep, dreamless sleep, utterly indifferent to whether he ever came back. When Ethan's plane landed, Lena immediately updated her social feed. In the photo, his tall figure pushed two heavy suitcases with a small pink cartoon bag hanging from his shoulder. The caption read, "Someone who'd cross through clouds for me. Childish, but it feels so safe." Ethan's friends filled the posts with likes. Then one of his buddy's girlfriends, Rachel, commented, "Where's Emily? Didn't you guys say your honeymoon would be in Hokkaido too? Did you all go together?" A minute later, that blatantly showy post disappeared. Right after that, Ethan sent me a message. "You should explain it yourself in the classmates group chat. Say, it was your idea to let me take Lena to clear her head. You know they don't like you much. Don't waste your chance to clean up your image." I understood perfectly. So I typed one final message in the group chat. If a circle doesn't belong to you, don't force your way into it. From now on, no need to make secret groups just to badmouth me. Wishing your friendship lasts forever. Then I left the chat. After that, I turned off my phone and pushed open my supervisor's office door. I signed my name on the reassignment letter. When I chose to stay in South City years ago for Ethan, everyone had patted me. But even now, watching love rot and fall to the ground like spoiled lemons, I didn't regret that choice because at that time I stayed for love sincerely, wholeheartedly, and that meant I followed my heart. So there was nothing to resent, no reason to curse the skies now that love had gone sour. Having tasted the bitterness of love, I finally understood how good it felt to hold something solid in your hands, to have your own savings, your own way out. Dozens of missed calls and messages from Ethan blinked across my screen. I deleted them all with one tap. I had too much to do, too many things to focus on to waste energy on his anger. In the little apartment I had lived in for 5 years, I spent one night quietly packing everything that was mine. Some things were shipped back to my hometown. Others went into my suitcase, ready to leave with me. Ethan didn't contact me again. That silence was his version of punishment, his way of starting another Cold War. In the past I could never stand it. Whenever the pain twisted me up in bed, whenever the sight of our shared things suffocated me, whenever emotions overwhelmed reason, I always gave in. I knew it was weak. I knew it was pathetic. But I couldn't help myself. Love was like a tumor wrapped around my heart. Every time I tried to cut it out, the pain bled through me instead. This time, the withdrawal began when I stopped showing up at their group gatherings. Each moment I gave in, it was like carving another crack into the new wall of my life. Tiny, sharp, unbearable. But after enough cracks, the pain went numb. And when I finally pulled away from him completely, I realized that kind of pain was the easiest to survive. Lena, however, couldn't help showing off their honeymoon. She posted pictures of herself clinging to Ethan's arm as they walked from Nakajima Park to Rote Street. Her caption read, "Hokkaido is so beautiful, sis. You have to come next time. Since you made the honeymoon itinerary, I figured I'd experience it for you." Ethan got mad. "But don't worry, I'll make it up to him for you." I turned off my phone without replying. Instead, I quietly booked a handyman to come the next morning. In the middle of my small apartment stood a pink heart-shaped wall that I had built myself. It separated the kitchen from the living room and was covered with photos, snapshots of me and Ethan, of our years together. One by one I took the photos down, staring at each image for a second before tossing it into the trash. I had once told him, if the wall hadn't been built on such a solid foundation, it would have collapsed along with our love. So when Lena and Ethan were laughing and splashing around in a hot spring, she playfully messaged me, "I'm sending you every view I see, sis. Just think of it as you being here too." I took the hammer from the handyman and brought it down hard. The pink heart-shaped wall, the one I had built with my own hands, came crashing down piece by piece. It had taken me an entire day to build it, stacking each panel carefully, but it only took half an hour to tear it all apart. When I cleared away the last bits of rubble, I placed the key on the coffee table and closed the door for good. The door that had once belonged to me and Ethan. On the fourth day, in a snowy town miles away, Ethan built two snowmen leaning against each other. Beside them, Lena knelt in the snow and traced the words forever and always with her gloved finger. That same night I was with my friends at a small bar. We clinked glasses, the warm blur of alcohol softening the ache in my chest. Later we wandered into a karaoke bar, laughing and crying, shouting lyrics off-key. My friends didn't shove me into the corner or make me play waitress. They wrapped their arms around me, cheering and dancing like fools, singing at the top of their lungs. To Emily, bright future, endless light. Cheers to single life. Single life might not last forever, one of them said, but friendship will. I thanked them from the bottom of my heart. They were the ones who had pulled me out of the pit every time I shattered like glass. When I was sick with fever, they brought medicine to my door. When I was drenched in a storm, they waited for me with an umbrella. When I landed at the airport in the middle of the night, they came to hold me tight and remind me I wasn't alone. Every time I thought I was too broken to go on, their kindness bloomed like tiny seeds of redemption inside my scars. We drank until dawn. When I finally got back to the hotel, I collapsed onto the bed and fell asleep instantly. On the fifth day, Ethan and Lena were photographed holding hands, fingers intertwined. She posted, "It's such a pity, sis. I was just born too late. He met you first, but still." And me? I was walking through the streets of South City, tasting every street food I could find. Spicy, sour, sweet, salty, the only flavors that still belonged to me. On the sixth day, Ethan pulled Lena into his arms at a pastel-colored school courtyard. She smiled sweetly at the camera and said, "Sis, can't you see it yet? You're the extra one." Maybe she was right. I was too busy loving to see the truth. By then, my company's transfer paperwork was nearly done. My colleagues held a small farewell party for me. Without Ethan's cold eyes watching over me, I let go for once, drinking freely, laughing too loud, finally feeling light again. On the seventh day, Ethan sent me a message. "I'll be at the airport in 3 hours. Lena's heading back to Cloud City, and I'll pick her up after I land. The gift I got for you is so heavy I almost can't carry it." That was his usual way of making peace. Stubborn, prideful, but soft underneath. He didn't know that my flight abroad was also 3 hours away. I didn't reply. He called me over and over, his name flashing across my screen like a ghost. I refused to let him in. I hung up every time. Then a message came from Lena. "Thanks, sis, for lending me your boyfriend. 7 days might be short, but we did everything worth doing. I gave myself to him. I have no regrets." Her words were followed by a string of photos. Shots of her with Ethan holding hands, laughing, kissing. Each one tagged with her friends' mocking comments. Each one a slap in the face. I gathered them all. Every filthy picture, every smug caption, and turned them into a single PowerPoint presentation. Then, as their plane took off, I hit send to every one of Ethan's classmates and all of their girlfriends. Lena had once called me that annoying sister. Now everyone would finally see who she really was. Ethan's senior Alex is the best, Lena posted that morning. He skipped his date just to help me take my cat to the groomer. Even Ethan said, "Lena is such a sweet girl. Way more thoughtful than that annoying sister." Then came another post. Ryan waited in line forever just to bring me the first milk tea of autumn. The one that sister didn't want, so I took it. Ethan says, Next year's first cup of milk tea is already reserved for me. What flavor do you think I should pick, sis? I'll have him bring you one too. And then another message. Sorry, sis. Alex was supposed to take me hiking this weekend, but since you had that breakup drama, Ethan's been stuck with me for 2 whole days. You're so understanding. You won't mind, right? Her final post came with a photo. Lena flashing my engagement ring on her hand. Ethan's such a good boyfriend. When Ryan accidentally gave me this sister's birthday gift, Ethan insisted on replacing it. I wanted something really special, so I asked for the ring instead. I'm sure sis doesn't mind sharing. Every single thing she bragged about, every smiling photo she shared, carried pieces of another woman's heartbreak, mine. So yes, Ethan deserved every ounce of what was coming. After confirming that everyone had received the file, the PowerPoint I'd sent exposing their affair, I blocked them all. Ethan, Lena, and every rotten friend they surrounded themselves with. Gone. One click. Outside, the sky over South City had been gray and snowing for a week. But the moment I boarded my flight, the clouds suddenly parted. The storm ended. I walked out of that long, bitter winter alone, tears mingling with the sting of healing wounds. And for the first time I felt clean. I had finally left everything behind. From here on out, it would only be forward, bright, free, unshakably mine. Meanwhile, Ethan sat on his plane, restless, watching the clock like it was mocking him. Those 3 hours had never felt so long. His mind was consumed by the unanswered calls, the endless ringing that no one picked up. But he was sure, too sure, that Emily Shin couldn't live without him. He knew my background better than anyone. My father, an addicted gambler, had destroyed our family, even hurt people in a fit of desperation. 1 dead, 2 injured. That was the day I became the murderer's daughter. My mother remarried and moved away. I grew up with my grandmother, timid and careful, ashamed of the blood I carried. Then Ethan appeared. He used to say I was beautiful, tough, unbreakable. As if life itself couldn't crush me. I was sensible, too sensible. So much so that when he started pursuing me, I kept warning him. You went to a top university. You have a future ahead of you. Are you sure you want to be with someone like me? A murderer's daughter? Your family will never approve. Your friends will laugh at you. You'll ruin your reputation. I told him, don't be stupid. Love isn't something people like me get to have. But he insisted. He said I was like a daisy growing out of a cracked wall, small, fragile, but blooming fearlessly against the wind and rain. He said he loved me, promised me, and would protect me forever. And for years I believed him. His love, his patience, his steady encouragement. He had been my anchor, my light, the person who rebuilt me when I didn't know how to exist. He used to say I was his angel, but what he didn't realize was that I had made him my entire world. So yes, Ethan knew exactly how much I relied on him emotionally, painfully, like an addiction. Maybe he thought I was just angry this time. Maybe I was sulking because he forgot to buy my brown sugar, while he was too busy choosing cat food for Lena. Maybe I was mad that he'd slammed the door before leaving. Or maybe the silent treatment had lasted too long and I was trying to make a point. Either way, he believed he still knew me. He believed that when his plane landed, I would be there waiting just like always, with tears, with forgiveness, with love I couldn't let go of. He was certain that I couldn't live without him. After all, since my grandmother's death, he had become my only home, my only emotional refuge. He thought the bond between us was unbreakable, that my love was too deep to ever walk away. He imagined me standing there at the airport, waiting with that same shy smile, holding the gift I'd picked for him, ready to make up again. But he was wrong. He didn't know that this time I had already boarded a different plane. Ethan rushed out of the arrival gate the moment the plane touched down, his eyes darting anxiously through the crowd, searching for that familiar figure. But she wasn't there. Emily hadn't come. A sudden wave of panic washed over him. For the first time, he wasn't sure anymore. Not sure if he could still win her back. Not sure if someone as strong as her would be cruel enough to tear herself away to finally kick a deadly habit. His hands trembled as he pulled out his phone and quickly dialed Emily Shun's number. But the robotic voice that answered made his stomach drop. The number you have dialed is no longer in service. Heart pounding, he switched to WeChat, ready to message her. But before he could find her contact, the classmates group chat exploded with hundreds of unread messages. At the top, Alex's girlfriend was hurling insults at Lena, calling her a manipulative. She wrote about how Lena had seduced her boyfriend under the excuse of helping with his cat, leaving her stranded and nearly assaulted by a drunk man that night. Then another of Ethan's classmates' fiancés jumped in, posting photos of their marriage certificate, demanding that Lena return the gifts her fiancé had secretly given her. Each one an expensive item he pretended to give out of generosity, but really taken from shared marital funds. Two couples for people were fighting furiously, their argument spilling into chaos. Finally, an older alumnus tried to calm things down. Professor Shao was so kind to us, he wrote. Being good to Lena is just repaying that kindness. There's no need to argue. Look at Ethan. He spent hundreds of thousands on her. He even took her on a honeymoon trip. Did Emily Shin go crazy over it? No, she didn't. She didn't even want that rotten woman. Then Rachel, Alex's girlfriend, replied coldly, no, she didn't go crazy. She just left him. Didn't want that scumbag anymore either. And then she left the group. The chat went silent. Ethan's eyes widened as he read that final line over and over again. She didn't want that scumbag anymore. His whole body went numb like he'd been punched straight in the chest. Frantically, he scrolled to the very bottom of his WeChat list, found Emily's name, and sent a single question mark. It bounced back instantly with a red exclamation mark. She had blocked him. Ethan froze. Panic clawed up his throat until it felt hard to breathe. For the first time, he was terrified. He didn't even look at Lena trailing behind him. He just bolted into the first taxi he could find, shouting at the driver to hurry. The whole way back, he prayed under his breath. Please, she's just angry. She's only trying to scare me. When I open that door, she'll still be there, sitting on the couch, waiting for me like always. I'll fix this. I'll apologize. I'll tell her I was wrong about everything. Ignoring her was my fault. Letting Lena get close was my fault. Listening to my friends, being blind, being stupid. It's all my fault. Just don't let her go. Please don't let her go. She had been in his life for 5 years. So long that she had become part of him like bone and blood. He couldn't live without her. He couldn't quit her. He needed her. When he finally reached the apartment, he flung open the door, the same door he'd once slammed in anger. But the home he walked into wasn't theirs anymore. The stuffed dolls Emily had painstakingly won for him were gone. The couch looked barren and cold, its faded fabric mocking him in silence. The potted plants she had nurtured were missing too, leaving only empty corners and patches of dust, like hollow spaces in his chest. Even the pink heart-shaped wall she had built with her own hands was gone, torn down completely, cleaned so thoroughly that not a single trace remained. It was as if she had been scraped right out of his life. The cartoon doormat by the door, the matching mugs on the coffee table, the travel stickers on the fridge, the pink towel in the bathroom. Every piece of her had been erased. Utterly, completely, mercilessly gone. She hadn't just moved out. She had deleted herself from his world. And only then did Ethan realize her breakup hadn't been an impulsive tantrum. It hadn't been a threat. It was real. She had made up her mind to leave. And for the first time, Ethan truly understood how lost he had been. How he'd been drifting in circles, blind to what he had until it was gone forever. Realizing the depth of his own shamelessness, wanting to have it both ways, Ethan finally understood that he was the one who had thrown everything away. His thoughts spun out of control. He was shaking, barely able to stand, and only one thing filled his mind. Find Emily. Apologize to her. He turned toward the door, ready to run out. But the moment he stepped into the hallway, he came face to face with Lena, who was staring up at him with wide, innocent eyes. She's gone, right? Perfect timing, she said softly, smiling. My luggage is already here. I can move in directly. Ethan, I've been waiting for this day for so long. Her hands, the same hands that had once cooked him red braised pork, the same ones he'd held gently while teaching her to write, slid up around his waist like a snake coiling for the kill. You chose me, didn't you? Ethan's eyes went wide with disgust. He shoved her away so hard she stumbled back. You're insane. I have a girlfriend. Emily is my girlfriend. Lena's lips curled into a cold, manic smile that completely shattered her usual sweet image. She doesn't want you anymore, Ethan. Don't you get it? But I do. I want you. Or did you forget? We slept together last night. Should I tell Emily that? Ethan's entire body trembled. Goosebumps broke out across his skin as he recoiled. No, that's not true. She wouldn't leave me. You twisted everything. You made her misunderstand. You manipulated her, didn't you? I'll explain everything. She loves me. I know she does. She has no one else but me. If I go to her, if I just apologize, she'll forgive me. She always does. He clenched his fists, voice breaking. Just get out. Leave. Once you're gone, she won't be upset anymore. Ethan shoved Lena out of the apartment, slamming the door behind her, then ran straight toward Emily's office building. But when he arrived, she was already gone. No one would tell him where she had gone. Her supervisor, a sharp-tongued woman with perfectly painted lips and the cold eyes of someone who'd seen through him long ago, crossed her arms and smirked. Well, look who's here. The great Mr. Ethan, taking a break from babysitting his precious little junior. What's wrong? Can't find your servant now. For the first time, Ethan lowered his pride, his voice trembling with desperation. Please tell me where she is. I just need to see her. The woman scoffed. Don't try that emotional act on me. You're not fooling anyone. Do you have any idea what she gave up for you? Emily turned down 2 international postings, golden opportunities just to stay here with you. And what did you ever give her back? Her tone sharpened into pure disdain. Oh right. You made sure she stayed warm in winter by giving her a nice green hat. Thoughtful of you, huh? Why don't you do her one last favor and leave her the hell alone? Her heels clicked against the tile as she turned and walked away. Ethan tried to push past the guards, shouting Emily's name, but they forced him to the ground. Laughter echoed around him, mocking. Cruel. Your girlfriend's gone, man, someone sneered. You really don't know where she is? Maybe you were never supposed to. The world spun. For the first time, Ethan realized what it meant to truly lose her. To know that Emily Shin was gone and he had no right, no chance to ever find her again. By the time there was news of him again, I was already settled in Lion City. From my office window, I could see the turquoise ocean and white sails stretching out to the horizon. On the phone, my colleague and friend Sophie was talking nonstop. Her voice half amused, half exasperated. Ethan's gone crazy, Emily. He's been searching for you everywhere. But don't worry, we've all stuck to our promise. None of us told him a thing. No way we're letting that rotten cucumber ruin your peace. She laughed. He even tried some psycho stunt. Stood in the freezing snow outside my house. Wouldn't leave for hours. The idiot didn't know my heart's colder than ice. I almost wished a snowflake could turn into a knife and stab him right through that dumb skull. I smiled faintly as she continued. And guess what? That little green tea which came crying and dragged him away. Pathetic. These men, when they have something good, they're always chasing what's over the next hill. Then once they lose it, they start begging for it back like the whole world's supposed to revolve around them. I chuckled quietly. That's just human nature, Sophie. Once people find peace, they start craving chaos again. After the thrill passed, I still found the quiet, steady fireworks of everyday life far more comforting. But you can't have it both ways. He wasn't that lucky. I was done hurting. I truly didn't want him anymore. I hung up the call and turned around. My male assistant was bringing me hot coffee one after another, looking at me earnestly, as if to ask what I'd like for lunch. I could read the affection in his eyes. He said I was independent, that I'd gone abroad to open a new front and handled it all with ease. He called me an impressive, formidable woman, so he adored me, tried to flatter me, and probed me gently. It was exactly how Lena fawned over Ethan. But I'd once stepped on a rotten pimmin and dirted the road of my future for a long time. So I told him honestly, focus on work. You'll go higher than me. If you keep bringing me heart-shaped coffees and boxed lunches, I'll have to get a new female assistant. He looked crushed and asked what was wrong with him. 6 feet 2 inches, handsome, careful, considerate, perfect in every way. But I'd long since passed the stage of relying on feelings to choke down the hardships of life. I don't crave worship or pampering. I crave the peace bought with real money. I treasured this job. Office romances were off limits, and I couldn't stand someone tugging at my skirt to climb up the ladder. Ness being stripped bare felt humiliating. The fresh-faced young man quietly left my office in that instant. Once we returned to our stations, We poured all our energy into work. I surged forward. He charged ahead. We became the most in-sync partners. I think that's probably why Ethan and I couldn't make it to the end. At core, he loved flowers, applause, and adoration. He took Lena's worship and ambiguity whole. I only wanted solid calm and security. I wouldn't let myself enjoy a young body in the name of love when it didn't bring peace of mind. On Christmas Day, the vintage facades in the Holland Village area were draped with sparkling lights. I held a hot latte and stared blankly at the twinkling tree when out of nowhere Ethan and I locked eyes. He looked exhausted and raw, the redness in his eyes deep. In a hoarse voice he asked, "How can you be so heartless? Just like that, you throw away 5 years of us." I looked at him the same way I looked at the warm string lights opposite me, completely calm without a ripple. "Didn't you see the PPT I sent?" I asked. Ethan drew a breath. His face went pale. "Those things I didn't know about. It was them manipulating me. They filled my ears with lies until I became biased against you. I know I was wrong now. I cut ties with them and sent Lena back to Cloud City with her things. We've been together 5 years. If you want to go higher, I won't stop you. But please don't abandon me over misunderstandings." I sipped my coffee, tasting the bitterness, and said lightly, "It was everyone else's fault. Were you a dumb pig or a China doll being toyed with? Don't moralize me. You know I don't buy that. And cutting ties with them isn't because they use tricks against me to get at you. You taught me to be sensible, to yield, to stop clinging. How did that end up with you beating people until they were bloody?" Ethan stared at me in disbelief. He thought I didn't know. Not long after I left, Lena, unable to get the love she wanted, climbed up to the rooftop and posted a farewell message in their shared group chat, accusing Ethan of refusing to take responsibility for her, and saying that life was meaningless. In an instant, Ethan became public enemy number 1. Alex exploded in the chat. "You animal. Professor Zhao treated you so well, fed you home-cooked meals, gave you special lessons, and you repay him like this. All that kindness fed to the dogs. You ungrateful bastard. You're going to kill his only daughter now, too." Ryan added, "You're disgusting. You slept with her and then refused to take responsibility." Ethan's mind went blank like a thunderbolt had hit him. When did I ever sleep with her? But Alex and Ryan were already cursing him out, flooding the chat with screenshots of Lena's messages. It turned out that on their last night in Hokkaido, Ethan and Lena had ended up in bed together. She had taken off all her clothes, curled up in his arms, snapped a tearful photo of herself, and sent it to their brother's group chat. She wrote, "Ethan drank too much. He didn't mean to. I don't blame him. It was my first time and I don't know what to do now. Should I go buy medicine? Please you guys help me figure it out." Everyone thought Lena was the picture of kindness. Even after being taken advantage of, she was still worried about Ethan's guilt, begging them not to tell me, protecting his image while pretending to suffer in silence. Poor Lena, they said. She gave him everything and he still wasn't satisfied. He wanted both the pure, innocent Lena and the tragic, serious Emily Shun. They all pressured him to do the right thing. Ethan couldn't explain, couldn't get a word in between the attacks. When he finally shouted, "I'm innocent," Alex shot back. "Innocent? You're the one who kept leaving Emily to run after Lena. You're the one who couldn't stand Emily's pride and let us isolate her from the group, right? You drove her away." Ethan threw a punch, shouting, "When did I ever tell you to isolate or bully her?" Alex wiped the blood from his lip, glared and swung back. The fight broke out like wildfire. Punches, curses, the sound of fists hitting flesh. Between gasps, Alex spat. "Remember the rafting trip? There was one extra seat and without a word, you got on the boat with Lena, leaving Emily behind with a stranger. You knew we all disliked teaming up with her. Don't act like that wasn't on purpose." He didn't stop there. At karaoke, Lena asked Emily to help her pick a song. Pour her a drink, open a bottle, and you just let it happen. Treated her like a waitress, then left her sitting alone in the corner while we laughed. That wasn't us bullying her. That was you. Another friend added. And Hokkaido, we might have spoiled Lena, but none of us joked about marriage. You're the one who handed your honeymoon over to her, knowing any woman would take it personally. We cared about Lena, sure, but we didn't empty our savings for her. You did. All that pretending, your favoritism, your cowardice. You didn't dare break up with Emily, so you froze her out until she left on her own. I thought you were clever playing both sides. And now you want to act righteous. Play the martyr. Go to hell, Ethan. The messages poured in faster than he could read. His head was spinning, his vision blurring with rage and panic. He felt like the world was closing in. He ran upstairs furious and found Lena still on the rooftop. Without hesitation, he grabbed her arm and shouted, "What the hell are you doing? Why do you always make up stories? You used to lie to Emily. Now you're lying to everyone else. What the hell do you want from me?" Right then, Alex and the others arrived. Lena fell to her knees, tears streaming down her cheeks, her voice trembling as she said softly, I just came up here to clear my head." "It was you, Ethan," Lena said, her tear-filled voice trembling but sharp. "Your constant mixed signals gave me hope. You made me think you had feelings for me. You said you couldn't break up with her, so I thought if I helped her see the truth little by little, she'd leave on her own. I didn't want to hurt her. Really, I just wanted her to see your heart clearly and step aside herself. Why are you so angry now?" Her tone cracked into hysteria. "You seduced me, Ethan. You tempted me into sin, made me lose the most precious thing a girl has, and now you think you can just wash your hands and walk away clean. Are you trying to drive me to my death?" Ethan couldn't take it anymore. His hand flew before he realized it, slapping her hard across the face. He shouted, "When did I ever seduce you? Every time it was you crying, begging me to come comfort you. You said you had depression, that if you died, your mother wouldn't survive it either. That's the only reason I ever left Emily to be with you, to calm you down. You climbed into my bed, Lena. Afterward you said I was just another jerk that you'd never tell anyone. But you couldn't wait to tell the whole damn world. And now you want to play the victim. You're disgusting. Are you mad because I didn't tell everyone we slept together?" "I was scared," Lena whimpered, clutching her cheek. "You know, it was my first time." Then she fell to the floor, wailing dramatically. Alex and Ryan rushed over, fury burning on their faces. They tackled Ethan to the ground, fists flying. "Coward! You can sleep with her but not take responsibility. You're worse than an animal." Ethan spat blood, shouting back, "Animal? Who was it that told me to spend more time with Lena because of Professor Jaw's kindness? Who said Emily was bitter and overdramatic, that I shouldn't let her ruin our group's harmony? Who said Lena was unhappy in South City, and that we'd all be ashamed to face the professor if we ignored her? You all dumped your guilt on me, burned through my savings, and in the end took all the credit for being the good guys." Ryan roared. "If Emily hadn't lost her damn mind and sent that PowerPoint to everyone, do you think we'd be humiliated like this? Breaking up, getting dumped, called cheaters. You ruined us all, Ethan. You're rotten to the core." That night, the so-called brotherhood shattered completely. Alex's ex-girlfriend even filmed the fight and sent the video to me just for the satisfaction of seeing them tear each other apart. But that wasn't the end. Lena's obsession didn't stop there. She filled her social media with cryptic posts mocking Ethan's downfall, while his old friends spat curses behind his back. The company gossip spread like wildfire, painting him as a disgrace. Worse still, Lena began showing up at Ethan's office, claiming to be his girlfriend. She confronted every woman who so much as spoke to him. The team leader overseeing his projects, his female partner in charge of negotiations, even a coworker who'd only exchanged polite hellos. In the middle of meetings in hallways in the cafeteria, Lena would rush at them, sobbing uncontrollably, grabbing their arms and begging through tears, "Please don't steal Ethan from me. I can't live without him. Please, I'm begging you." Sometimes she even fell to her knees in front of everyone, banging her head against the floor, pleading for them to let him go. Each time someone recorded it. Each time it spread online. And each time another innocent woman was branded a homewrecker. The chaos nearly destroyed Ethan's workplace. One by one, his female colleagues began avoiding him as if he carried poison. The company valued teamwork. No one could function alone, no matter how talented they were. Ethan, once their rising star, the one most likely to make $1 million a year, was forced to resign. He lost everything. In a fit of rage, he threw Lena out of his house and vanished from South City. Lena lost her mind searching for him. One night, when she thought she saw someone with his build walking across the street, she ran toward him without thinking, tears blurring her vision. The car hit her before she could even scream. When Professor Xiao received the call, everyone finally learned the truth. Lena had been battling severe mental illness for years, and the so-called jerk she had accused of ruining her life had never truly had anything to do with her at all. Because he was brilliant and dazzling, he naturally became the next target of Lena's obsession. In the end, that man couldn't stand her harassment and left Cloud City altogether. Even when Lena slit her wrists, he didn't come back. That was when she finally gave up. But fate has a twisted sense of timing. One day, Ethan called Professor Xiao to check in, and Lena answered the phone. She saw in the background of his video call that wall covered in framed awards. She heard how everyone praised him as a gifted, bright student. He had graduated into a management position at a major corporation, bought his own apartment within 5 years, and was considered the pride of his peers. And when she scrolled through his social media, she saw his photo. Tall, sharp-featured, handsome, more charming even than the man she once called her toxic ex. So she came to South City, full of intent and calculation. And in doing so, she ended the 5 years between me and Ethan, a man never strong enough to stand firm. When I watched Ethan sink into pain and despair, I didn't feel joy, only calm. When you ordered me around, I said softly, you always talked about how much you owed your teacher. You said since his daughter had no one left, it was your duty to take care of her for the rest of her life. Everyone praised your loyalty and gratitude. You loved the admiration, didn't you? So tell me, why didn't you actually do it? Ethan's eyes were red, his face pale. I never meant for things to go this far, he choked. I never planned a future with her. I swear I didn't. Emily, it's all over now. Please, can't you give me one last chance? I smiled faintly. I've given you plenty of chances. When I was left out during the rafting trip, when we fought and nearly broke up, I was the one who opened the door for you in the end. At karaoke, when you let them treat me like a waitress, you called me uptight and boring. I cried for 3 days at a friend's place. But the moment you asked if I wanted to get hot pot, I gave in again. Every time I called you late at night and you didn't pick up, every time I waited in the pouring rain for you to come, and you didn't, every time I burned with fever and stared at the empty space beside my bed, I thought, this is it. This is the last time. But every time the pain swallowed me whole and I bowed my head again. You know, I continued quietly. For the first 30 years of my life, I had nothing. You were all I had to lean on. You were my only source of warmth, my only emotional support, the only person who understood my fragility and still gave me acceptance. You knew that. That's why you were so sure I couldn't leave you. Took me 2 months to cut you out of my life. I said it felt like carving out my own flesh, scraping my own bones. It hurt like hell. I'm not some saint, Ethan. I don't forgive and forget just because someone says they're sorry. You made me bleed for years. Now it's your turn to hurt. That's why I crafted that PowerPoint, my parting gift to you, and made sure it reached everyone who needed to see it. I knew long before you did that Lena was unstable, dangerous even. But I wasn't kind enough to warn you. You needed to feel what I felt. Sometimes pain is the only teacher. You've burned everything down, I said, looking him in the eye. You and Lena destroyed each other. Do you really think there's any going back now? Ethan finally understood. Even our breakup hadn't been impulsive. It had been deliberate, planned, cold. Every ounce of my pain had been turned into calculation. He realized then what kind of person I truly was. Resilient, decisive, ruthless when pushed to the edge. When I said it was over, I meant it. When I wanted revenge, I saw it through. And when I left, I never once looked back. He'd buried his face in his hands, sobbing as if he'd lost everything. But what did that matter anymore? He wasn't stupid. He had always known. He saw how Lena's admiration for him had crossed every line, how her glances lingered too long, how her questions grew bolder. Even when she'd asked him outright, between me and her, who's better? He had known it was wrong to answer, but he still smiled, ruffled her hair and said, Lena's the cutest. If he'd been played, it was only because his love was weak. His guilt, his hesitation, his hunger for adoration, all of it made him easy to break. He deserved everything that followed. Now watching him still chase after me like a ghost, clinging to the past, I could only feel one thing. Utter bone-deep exhaustion. That evening my assistant Lucas slit his arm confidently around mine and said in front of everyone, Allow me to formally introduce her, our company's backbone, the star who just returned from overseas and my idol. This is my girlfriend. Ethan was standing a few feet away. He froze for a moment, then suddenly lunged toward me like a man possessed, reaching for my hand. Lucas immediately stepped between us, pressing Ethan back against the wall with one hand. His voice was calm but razor-sharp. I heard someone's been going crazy looking for her, he said. Do you mind if I help him see things clearly? Ethan stiffened, eyes wide, fear and confusion flickering across his face. Lucas didn't stop. After everything that's happened, he asked, what can you possibly give her now? Don't use love as an excuse to drag her down with you. She's not your lifeline and you're not her grave. The words hit Ethan like a blade. Slowly realization began to dawn. He had lost his job. His reputation was in shambles, and he'd been hunted by a lunatic who destroyed everything in her path. What could he possibly give me, Emily Shun, except more fear and pain? At last, his fingers unclenched from Lucas's collar. He looked utterly broken, a soaked, trembling stray dog, an exhausted deserter who still somehow dreamed he could rebuild his ruined kingdom on the ashes of love. He turned and walked away in silence. That night he booked the next flight out. Ethan and I never saw each other again. Love, whether fierce or fragile, always ends the same way. Abruptly, without ceremony, like a half-finished story cut off mid-sentence. No long goodbyes, no final drink under the setting sun. Just one turn in a lifetime gone. 3 years later I came home from my overseas assignment thriving, confident and finally at peace. Within 2 months, I doubled my income and became one of the youngest executives in my company. At the annual gala, I raised a glass to our clients, smiling politely. Across the room, my once little assistant, Lucas, had grown into a striking man. He lifted his wine glass toward me, his dark brows steady and his voice smooth. Standing here today beside someone like you, it's an honor. I don't know if I have the right to ask, Director Shen, would you have dinner with me? 3 years is a long time. The place where I'd cut out my pain had long since healed over with new flesh. It didn't ache anymore. The rotten fruit I once stepped on no longer frightened me. It never had the power to keep me from walking forward forever. So I said yes. The restaurant was small and cozy. To my surprise, we ran into Rachel, Alex's ex. She was radiant, engaged to a calm and steady man. Someone far more grounded than Alex had ever been. He'd even designed her engagement ring himself. One of a kind. Over dessert, she told me that all the girls who'd been caught up in my old story, the ones mentioned in that infamous PowerPoint, had broken up with their boyfriends long ago. Then she lowered her voice. Lena found Ethan again last winter. She said she wouldn't let him go. Got ugly. She said she'd rather die than lose him. They fought at the top of the stairs. She fell. My breath caught. Rachel went on quietly. The doctors said the old head injury from her car accident reopened. She died instantly. Ethan was convicted of manslaughter. 7 years. I set my wine glass down, my fingers steady. Compared to that, compared to their poisonous, tangled love, my old heartbreak had been nothing but a bruise that eventually faded. They had become the real toxin, devouring each other until nothing was left. I, on the other hand, had wiped the dirt from under my feet and kept walking toward a new life, a new light. They, trapped in their endless cycle of obsession, were the ones who fell too deep beyond saving. As I left the restaurant, snow began to fall softly, catching in my hair. Lucas walked beside me, tall and warm, his presence quiet but grounding. Across the street, Rachel waved before disappearing into the winter crowd, her fiancé's arm wrapped around her shoulders. She smiled at me and said, "We both let go of the wrong love, Emily. That's why we get to have better ones now. Life is vast, an ocean that never ends. In the end, the only person who can save you is yourself. There will always be men who can't tell what they want. But there will also always be women who can." Last night, as snow blanketed the city and every branch bowed heavy with it, I looked out my window and whispered a final prayer for him, for them and for me. May we all stay clear-headed and may we all find peace.